Hey everybody, welcome back to another Nature's Always Right video. My name's Stephen Cornett and I'm an urban farmer teaching people how to grow food for their families or for profit as their own business. And today's episode, and actually this whole week during the next 5 days, these episodes are going to be about basic beginning gardener skills, because I've noticed that there's a lot more people, because of the events going on in the world right now, they're interested in growing their own food. So I wanted to be able to provide a detailed tutorial teaching all of the basics to help you get started. If you've never gardened before, you've just done some really minimal stuff, I want to try to give you as much information as I can to help you get going and grow plants the healthiest way possible, and of course only naturally and organically. So this is going to be part 1 of the 5-part series. Today is March 30th, 2020, and each day is going to feature a different set of skills that you're going to need to become a successful gardener. We're going to show you exactly how to do each step. Today is all about finding your transplants at a place like Home Depot or any nursery, and helping you to find the healthiest seedlings. Then we're going to get into what type of amendments, compost, soil do you need to start a garden bed or to make your current garden bed a bit more fertile. The rest of the week we're going to cover how to plant seeds in your garden beds, how to plant them in trays so you can start your own transplants and then plant them yourself. I'll show you guys how to plant strawberries in a pot, how to plant potatoes, which are really high calorie, and a lot of other skills that are essential to understand when learning how to garden, such as placement of your plants, understanding the sun's location. So I hope it's really going to be valuable for you guys. And the other thing with this week, I'm going to be doing live videos each day. So Monday through Friday, 5 live streams with you guys for about an hour to answer any of your questions that you have about each day's video, or any other just general gardening or farming advice that you would like to get from me. In this time that we're going through right now, you know, this is the reason that I started a YouTube channel. It's one of the big reasons that I farm. I want to help people become self-sustaining, to get off of these systems that we are all so dependent upon. So if I'm able to help teach you guys how to grow better and start growing some of your own food for your family, that would just give me the greatest joy. So I hope that you'll join me during this week, and also share this with other people that you know are getting started in gardening, because I think it'll be really valuable for them, especially the live videos where you guys can interact with me, ask me whatever you'd like, and if there's any confusion about any certain subject, I can hopefully help clear that up for you. The live streams will be at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday this week. Or if you're catching this video later on in the year, I'll put links down in the description to the live streams, to the other parts of these gardening videos that I'm making, and any other videos that are very important to understand with these topics, or if you want to go deeper into certain topics that I mention in these videos. All tools, amendments, anything that I think might be valuable for you to have for starting your garden, I'm also going to put that down in the description to make it easier for you guys as well. So this first video, we're actually at my parents' house right now. I'm in between homes, about to move to Tennessee to start a brand new farm. The first video is just going to start out with telling you guys a little bit about our family's gardening story, and then we'll get right into going and picking out our transplants. So I hope you guys really enjoy this series of videos, and I will see you guys in the live stream tonight at 5 p.m. All right, so I just brought my mom in here. This is my mom.
Hey, everybody.
Just wanted you to meet her, and she's going to be helping us today, and I wanted her to talk about the garden here. When did you start this garden, and what did you make these boxes out of before we even go?
Well, the best recollection that I have was about 27, 28 years ago when we moved in here. About 30 years ago, we built some decks and some patio covers, and then at that time we had some leftover wood. And so we decided to go ahead and make some planting boxes that we could grow vegetables, flowers, whatever kind of suited my fancy at the time. I think it's Douglas fir. They've held up actually quite well for this many years. We've got areas where we have some termite damage, but for the most part, they've held together really well, and I've grown a lot of vegetables over the years in them.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool to see how long one of these boxes can actually last. So they're talking about like 27 years. And then what were some of the things that we used to grow in these?
Initially, we grew tomatoes, onions, strawberries. We did some artichoke. We did squash. That's the majority. And then eventually, the strawberries gave me a lot of problems. Your dad fell in love with pomegranates.
Right.
And
that's why we have these.
So then we went to putting 2 pomegranate trees in one of the beds, let it take over, and they've done really well all the rest of the years.
And then tell them, did I like gardening when I was a little kid?
No, you did not. I thought it was going to be this real creative thing. Get your kids out here, let them help, grow things, see how things grow. Maybe they'll like vegetables more. They didn't. Not at all.
Didn't work.
Didn't work. In fact, I was a bit disappointed. You were a little more helpful than your sister, quite frankly, in the garden. She was more excited in playing sports and skating and doing other things. But I kind of kept it up until your lives got really busy as children and got very involved in what you were doing. And between that and working, at that point, I kind of let the garden not do very much other than grow some tomatoes, possibly, that kind of thing. And then I just kind of did minimal things.
And then my mom created a really amazing garden just around the yard, all these landscaping plants and flowers, and just created a really beautiful space here. She did blueberries and citrus in pots and stuff. So yeah, if you're a parent out there and you wanted to get your kids interested in gardening, don't give up hope, because I eventually came back to it and I had all those memories of doing all this stuff. So they can still find the love for it. And hey, now we're gardening again in these beds. So, all right, let's get to it. Okay. And the first thing that we're gonna do to these beds is just amend them. It's been maybe about a year or 6 months or something like that since they last had some veggies in here. So the first thing we're gonna do is just add some gardening soil, and we're gonna go get some transplants right now at Home Depot just to show you the simplest way to go get some plants. Of course, local nurseries are fantastic, or if you wanna start your own seeds, we're gonna show you how to start your own seeds here in a few minutes. So let's go to Home Depot.
Here we go.
Let me show you guys my favorite potting soil mix, and I think they have it pretty much throughout the whole country, but you want to look for something that is of course organic and naturally made, no synthetic chemical nutrients. The brand that I like is called Kellogg. This is their raised bed and potting mix, and this one's really great because, let's look at the ingredients. Coir, perlite, poultry manure, feather meal, peat moss, kelp meal, worm castings, bat guano. So all natural fertilizers, really good nutrients, and it's just a nice soil, nice consistency. You can start seeds with this. Now, of course, at Home Depot or Lowe's, there's a whole lot of other choices, a lot of stuff by like Miracle-Gro and companies like that, which I don't recommend buying Miracle-Gro. They're a synthetic nutrient company. They do make organic stuff now, but they're really just focused on making money. They don't care as much about, making good soil. So that's why Kellogg, if you have, it's the best. And some of the other Kellogg products that are really good, if you just need some garden soil just to kind of pep up your beds, maybe you've already got really good drainage, then these bags are a little bit cheaper, and also it's the same formula just without the perlite. If you need to top dress any of your trees, things like that, the grow mulch is really great because it's going to provide nutrients, and then it's got some larger carbon pieces that'll help retain moisture and prevent weeds. So because my mom's beds are pretty fertile and the soil looks really great, we're just going to add 1 bed of the raised bed mix per 8x10 bed, and we're going to add in some other nutrients as well that I'll show you when we get back to the house. So now let's go ahead and check out our transplants, and I'll give you some tips on picking transplants and how to pick a healthy one that's going to do really well in your garden. So if you take a look at these 2 tomatoes here, one thing you want to know is the word indeterminate and determinate. The determinate is a bushing type, so it'll fruit basically just one time. You'll get a lot of fruit and then it'll be done. The indeterminate will keep giving you fruit. It's a vining type, so it'll keep making flowers that'll produce fruit for you. I recommend just always growing indeterminate because you'll have a much longer season of growing. Your 2 major differences, you're gonna have your cherry tomatoes and then your larger slicing tomatoes. So that's gonna be your decision on what you'd like to grow. The Cherry tomatoes, though, are really prolific for a much longer time. And when I was running my urban farm, I grew only cherry tomatoes. I like cherry tomatoes because they don't have problems with rotting or bugs. If you lose one small cherry tomato to a bug, it's not a big deal. If you lose a big tomato, it's a lot more painful, and they just don't produce as many, but they're larger. So now let's just take a look at the transplants and what you would want to look for in a healthy transplant. So first I'm going to show you guys one that I don't think looks very healthy. This is some sort of probably fungal issue. The leaves are a little bit pale or yellowed. Whereas if you look at a transplant over here, you see how green those leaves are, and the entire plant all the way down, even at the lowest level of leaves, they're not very yellowed, which is a good sign, because as the plant grows, the lower leaves will get yellow and die off. And I've got a great video on pruning tomatoes that you should watch if you want to learn more about taking care of indeterminate tomatoes. These are all the suckers here. If you see a tomato like this, you see how the leaves are curled. It looks like a worm was on here eating it. So this plant is having issues. So I would definitely not pick this one. You want to find a tomato that has the leaves completely flat and unfurled like this. Any of these look fantastic. So here we have some zucchinis, and now zucchinis, the tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, anything that produces a fruit, it's going to need full sun, so keep that in mind. And you know, all these are going to get very large, so when you're planning out the size of your garden, think about how large these are going to get. These are going to get to about 3 by 3 feet in size. You're also going to notice that some of these have multiple plants in one pot. Now when you go to plant these, you could actually break these apart and get multiple plants out of them. Or you can select for the largest plant, the best looking plant. So that would be this one here. And you could just cut these out away and only plant this one. And you only want to plant one squash plant in one spot. Otherwise they're going to compete for light and you will not get very good fruit. They may even be more susceptible to pests and disease if you do that. So make sure you're planting only one plant in one spot. But you will see at the nurseries that a lot of times this will happen where they've planted multiple seeds, so you get multiple plants. Another great thing to look for at Home Depot is their discount section. These are plants that they let, grow a little too long. You can see there's multiple seedlings in there, but as long as the plant still looks healthy, you could totally plant this. Just cut it back to one plant and go for it. That's good.
Okay.
Okay, so we're back from Home Depot with our Kellogg garden soil, and we have two 4-foot by 12-foot beds right here. And what we're gonna do is do the same thing to each bed. So we're gonna pour out one of these. Before I do that though, let me show you some other nutrients we were gonna do as well. So from my urban farm, I had a bunch of leftover things like some organic fertilizer, some leftover peat moss, some leftover seeding propagation mix. We're just gonna dump all that in here. So I've got kelp meal, and this is azomite rock dust for minerals. Minerals are super important for your garden. Just like humans, if we don't have all the vitamins and minerals we need, it's hard for our bodies to produce the ability to have a strong immune system. And this also feeds the soil life as well. So azomite rock dust is fantastic. And I'll put links down in the description to the different organic fertilizers and minerals, things that I like to use in my garden. So we're just gonna spread a little bit of this out, maybe 2 full cups of azomite over the surface, probably 2 cups or 3 cups of the organic fertilizer. And they always have instructions on the bag to show you how much that you should use for the amount of area. And then now we're gonna add our 1 3 cubic foot bag of garden soil. And this soil was already really good, so we're just doing enough to pep it up. If you're starting your soil from scratch, then you could just use all of the raised bed potting mix from Kellogg, or if you're able to, I would recommend getting some locally made compost that's really high quality, because you're gonna save money and it'll be even better soil than what you can buy at a store. So now we're just gonna rake it and get it even across the whole surface. Now you guys know who watch my channel that I'm super into no-till, which means we're not flipping the soil and mixing the soil layers together. So we're just gonna mix it together here at the surface, and then when it rains or we water this in, that's gonna help to mix these nutrients down deeper into the ground, just like when it rains in a forest. We're also gonna water at the end of this with our plants, and we're gonna even water in some other nutrients that I have left over from my farm, like fish emulsion and seaweed. I'm just gonna show you guys some other things that I'm doing with soil drenching for feeding. But just doing what we did right here, some organic fertilizer, some good composted soil, that's all you really need to grow good plants. All right, you guys, that is it for part 1 of the basic gardening series. Tomorrow's video is gonna feature planting these transplants.